everybody, I'm Bianca Valerio and I'm here in Italy, specifically in the town of Padua. So Padua is about half an hour, 35 minutes drive away from Venice. Okay, so what's here? Okay, well, right behind me, you can see it is a giant, beautiful basilica that is dedicated to San Antonio de Padua, hence the town. So Padua is in Italy, but what if I told you that Saint Anthony is actually from Portugal? I know, guys. So that is super debatable as to whether who Saint Anthony really belongs to. Is it Italy or Portugal? So I'm going to get to that in just a bit. So why don't we talk about this beautiful church first? So I was actually here in 2018. I remember I actually took photos in this very courtyard right here. And I was even, I think, wearing a hat at that time. And then there was like a beautiful like piazza in front where I was like posing in front. I remember the outfit, I remember the day, just like it was yesterday. So earlier, going inside the church, it was nice to reminisce how beautiful it is inside. It's actually quite nice that by the time we got there, we arrived earlier. It was just in time for Mass, so we heard Mass earlier as well. Now, inside the church, apart from the very grand structure, you're also going to find the tomb of Saint Anthony. So as you're walking, there's even a sign that says like Tumbia de San Antonio. And then it's just like all this beautiful marble in black and white. Right in the middle is the tomb of Saint Anthony, again in beautiful marble. And what's nice is there are all these many photos of people who have left, let's say, probably their photo or a memento of their loved one, offering prayers to Saint Anthony. So Saint Anthony is usually the priest, or rather the saint that you pray to for lost things. Anything lost. I don't think it really has to be things. It could be your loss of hope or your loss of inspiration. Anything that has to do with loss, Saint Anthony apparently is the saint that you pray to. So anyway, after the tomb, there's surrounding the altar, there's a huge circular space where you will find like little chaplets. And right in the center, right behind the altar, is you will find where the relics of Saint Anthony is. It's really stunning, no photos and videos like up close, but from afar you can see like there is many reliquarios. I don't know how to say that in English. It's basically a case for where they put relics. Relics are usually an item of clothing or a part of the body of that certain saint. In this case with Saint Anthony, right in the very center, it was all in Italian, but you can sort of understand because like Filipinos, we know a little bit of Spanish. There was lingua, which means like, I guess, lengua in tongue. So there was the tongue, and there was also, I believe, like his vocal cords. And then there was one at the very top. It was literally his jaw. So you could see like his teeth. And it was inside the reliquario because, of course, it's encased in something that's sacred. And right in the center of the room is a preserved like his not costume, but what he wears, and it's very crumbled already, but because it's enclosed and stuff, like you can pray to it and basically just offer your prayers to Saint Anthony. So the question really is Saint Anthony from Italy or is he from Portugal? So why don't I take you over to Lisbon in Portugal and let me know what you decide in the end.
So what I have always learned in school, that Saint Anthony had the name San Antonio de Padua. Actually, he was born in Lisbon. Now the Italians will not be happy about this because they claim it on him. The Portuguese, they just call him Saint Anthony. So Saint Anthony, when he was really young, he really wanted to be a monk. But one, he was so young, so he was going to monasteries and they would turn him away. And apparently he had a real name. They had a very peculiar name, and they figured that maybe that was the reason why he wasn't accepted into those monasteries. So he decided to change his name to Anthony, I guess to make it more relatable. Now, he was so young, but he was also very very wise. He was so brilliant with all his teachings that he actually was sharing that you don't need to be a monk in order to lead a religious life. And his teachings, his philosophical teachings were so good that the Pope was so impressed that he actually invited him to teach theology and religious history in Italy, hence the connection to Padua. But to be specific, he's Portuguese.
So this is the room where St. Anthony was born, and this is also the same place where Pope John Paul II actually knelt down to pray. So there's a room right here, and there's the altar. This is the curtain. So now we are right outside the church. Earlier, this square right here was filled with so many tourists, and you could tell like a lot of them were like in big groups. They were probably going on a religious pilgrimage of sorts. Either they were going on a tour of different towns in Italy, and usually one of the highlights in every town is the church that you go to, or the church that is situated in that town. Or if not, people really do come for religious pilgrimages. It's like going to the Vatican, you know, or like going to Assisi or whatnot. Anyway, so now that you've learned a little bit about St. Anthony, so the question is, are you team Portugal or team Italy for St. Anthony? For me personally, it doesn't really matter, because your faith is about the person and not where they're from. And if you're able to visit both Italy and Portugal to see his churches that are dedicated to St. Anthony, then why not? All right, guys, that is it for me. Until our next church or visit somewhere around the world, I'm Bianca Valerio. You know, I've got actually a giant playlist of religious sites from around the globe, not just Rome, but do check that out, from Lourdes to Medjugorje to the original pilgrim churches that inspire the Visita Iglesia, and so many more. Until then, my YouTube channel is Bianca Valerio. Do subscribe, and I'll see you at our next destination. Bye, guys.